Hi, my name is Sean, and welcome to the Core 1804 video installation series on the 4Runner roof rack. We're going to move along pretty quickly, so feel free to stop, pause, rewind, and watch again. Let's cover some of the tools and also some of the parts that you're going to get when you order the Core 1804 roof rack. First, we're going to start with some removal tools for the covers over the mounting points for the factory roof rack. We'll use a 12mm socket to remove the bolts holding the factory roof rack to the vehicle. Next, we have an adjustable wrench and a little 2mm Allen. We use these to install the badge on the front cross frame of the rack. And then from there, what we're going to do is jump back over to the car. We're going to use some nice little Dynaflex Ultra window door siding and trim sealant in the holes where the factory mounts are. That's just to seal it up. It kind of replaces the sealant that the factory's put there that typically sticks to the factory rack when you remove it. We have a set of scissors here we're going to use to clip the little rubber gasket short just to the right length. And then we have a 5mm Allen and a 13mm box wrench. And that's going to help install both the wing supports, these are the wings right here, to the vehicle. And then also the cross frames to the wing supports once those are installed. After that, we have a pliers with the little cutter here. We're going to use those to trim back the channel trim pieces. There's a little metal piece in there, so it's a little hard to get through it with just a knife. So we're going to use this. And so that would be all the tools that you need to install the rack. There's also going to be a packet like this in there. Essentially what you're going to find in this packet is a whole bunch of stuff. What we have here are obviously the instructions, has some good information. The tool list is repeated here. A number of instructions for different points of the installation. We got different diagrams and such. Make use of this. Some pro tips are in there. Will help you out both removing the factory roof rack and also installing the Core 1804 roof rack. Also find, so we individually pack some of the nuts and bolts. So we have a pack for the wing supports. And so all the bolts for the wing supports that bolt this directly to the vehicle are all in one pack right here, all the parts you need, except for the little rubber gaskets, which go on the bottom. You'll get a total of 4 of these. And then you also have all the bolts in a separate packet to mount the crossbars to the wing supports. And then also you have your badge here with all the little bolts and everything that you need to mount it to the rack. Also, you know, if you wanted, you could paint or powder coat any of the parts different from the others, just to, again, make it a little bit more personal. So that's what you're going to get in the pack. And then you're also going to find the 2 crossbars. You're going to get wing supports. There's going to be 2 for the rear. This is the rear, and 2 for the front. This is the front. I've already had this rack installed, so I already have some lights mounted. So we'll talk a little bit about that when we get up on the roof. The best time to mount the lights, and some little tricks to do, and some little nice features on the wing support. All right, let's move over to the roof, get that factory rack off. Go ahead and grab your paint can opener and let's get into it. All right, so now that we know the tools and the parts we have, let's get into actually removing the factory roof rack. This is the most common roof rack on most 4Runners. There are 2 other styles I know out there. You might have to look around for other videos for how to remove those. I believe they're pretty simple, but we're going to cover this one here. So I already have the cover off just to show you a little bit about what we're trying to do here. This cover is normally held in with 2 clips here, and what we're going to show is essentially what we're dealing with to remove this cover. Normally there are full clips here or 4 little features here that hook onto these features when the cap is installed. And so what we need to do is pull the side of the cap directly out from the vehicle in this location, to then loosen it and then roll the cover off. Basically that would look something similar to putting your paint can opener right there underneath, tilting it down and pulling it straight out. And then you're going to want to do the same thing here and pull straight out also. And you're going to hear a little click. Now this one, unfortunately, I used a different method to remove it, and it's a little damaged, so it's not doing a little snap thing. But what you're going to find is that this feature is about 2 3/8 inches from this location, and this one up here is about 6.5 inches. So just go in that general area, you'll slide in, you'll hear a slight pop, that typically stays out. Go here, pull out, and then that will loosen up, and then you'll have to, and this is pretty much what you're going to experience, you got to kind of wrestle it off there. Now you have the cover off. While you're here, there's 4 covers. You're gonna have to do that for each of them. We'll cover the back one here, and then it's pretty much the same story on the other side. Grab your 12mm socket wrench, and what you're gonna wanna do is start loosening up these bolts. Now, I've already had these off, and these are only finger tight. Like what I'm showing here, kind of alternate between the two. There's a little plate in there that could rotate if you just pull one off, one bolt out, and then you start cranking on the other one, it'll start spinning around. You don't want to do that. So, you know, as you're loosening up, just do a couple each. And then typically once it's loose, you're free to just kind of use your fingers and pull them out the rest of the way. And once you pull those out, you can move to the back one. Now we're at the rear mounting portion of the factory roof rack, and we're going to pretty much go through the same scenario. This time we're going to measure about 2 3/4 inches from this point, and then go 6 3/4 inches from this point back with our paint can opener. We're gonna pull it out. There's a little click there and there. There you go. And again, you're gonna have to wrestle this off. Excuse all the wires. I have a setup for lights on the Core 1804 rack, and so they're in, and you might see a little bit of how you might want to wire those. We now have both the covers off, and that's actually the hardest part in the whole install. So those are now removed. Pull out your 12mm socket wrench, start unloosening these. Again, go back and forth between the two until they're about finger loose, and pull them out. When you have them all pulled out, you'll be ready to remove the rail from this side, and then you'll just repeat the process on the other side. Now that you've removed the factory roof rack, you're now ready to install the Core 1804 roof rack. And to do that, we're going to pre-kit the wing supports that go on the 4 mounting points on the vehicle, the same ones that you just removed the factory roof rack from. And so what you'll do is you'll go and find your main hardware pack that comes with all the racks, and then from there you're going to pull out this pack of hardware. This has the bolts and the mounting plates that you need to install into the vehicle. Grab 2 bolts, very simple. A mounting plate right here, which works as just a washer for the bolts. Very simple. Grab your wing support. See the 2 holes right there? It's the same either way. Now that you have your wing support all kitted up and ready to go, what we need to do is come up here to the front factory roof rack mount and clean it up a little bit. And if you pulled off the factory roof rack, you're probably going to find a lot of dirt in this area that was just under the cover. Try to get it kind of nicely cleaned up, not too much stuff sitting around in there. And then what you're going to do next is you're going to grab your professional use RTV silicone, and you're going to squirt it around the tube, each of these little plastic tubes here, and put a little bit down. Make sure it's all the way around so it doesn't leak, because that's where you're going to get most of your leaking. Even though we do have the rubber pads, which will help prevent that, this just goes a little extra step further. What you do next is grab your support, line up the bolts with those little plastic tubes right there. And then once they're lined up, you can push down, and you'll notice that the rubber pad's a little larger than the actual bottom of this track here, and that's to protect your paint from the edges of the bracket. You get those in there. Might be hard to see from the camera view, but basically go ahead and start threading these in, these 2 bolts. You want to get a good start on them, but you want to leave them a little loose. We'll do a little adjusting of the front and rear cross frames. This will allow us to move them slightly forward or back as we need to get the exact distance between the 2. So once you get that all installed, just repeat the same process for all 4 corners. Now you'll note that This one goes on the front. This angle right here is a little shallower. This one's a little steeper than this one. So that indicates it's the front. Should also be leaning outward, away from the middle of the vehicle, not leaning inward. So that's how you know you have the right one in the right location. The back tower or wing support, these angles are the same, so it looks a little different. There you go. Let's get the next one in. We've installed the front wing support. Now we're ready to do the back one. Please excuse the wires here. I have these set up for lights, just in case you didn't know. This little pattern here, kind of universal pattern, fits many camp lights out there. Things like cyclone lights or some of the Baja rock lights. You already have holes here. You don't need to buy a bracket or anything else. You can just install it straight here. Also have some little holes here for managing the wires. You can run a zip tie through there and cinch everything down to keep everything nice and tidy. Here is the back wing support, and you can see both angles are the same, and you know you're installing it correctly if it's going to be pointed outward like this. This would not be the correct orientation. That would be backwards. So you want to make sure you have it this way. And we're going to do the same thing as we did before. We're going to clean all this up, and then we're going to continue with taking, again, our RTV silicone. We're going to squeeze it around the plastic tubes and spread it out a little bit beyond both of them. And then you'll be ready to install, again, your pre-kitted wing support tower. Somehow my scissors have gone away, lost them, so you have a little excess here. You can trim that off. That'll make it a little bit easier to install than what I'm showing here. We do the same thing. You need to kind of watch those wires, but we're going to line up each of the bolts, the tubes there, get them in, push the bracket down. Again, the rubber pad goes beyond the bracket to protect the paint from the bracket itself. And then what you're going to want to do is grab your 5mm Allen. Sometimes just a little extra push helps, or even just start threading. It may not feel like it's actually grabbing anything. You know, they'll start working themselves down because they're tight on the little rubber pad, so I'll give it a little extra bite there to start directing it downward. Like we did on the front one, don't tighten them down all the way. We want to be able to adjust these when we have the cross frames. So you can slide it forward and back, as you can see, like that. And then once we get those cross frames on, we'll come back around and we'll tighten everything down. That's how the back one goes. Again, duplicate on the other corner and you'll be all set. Right, now that you have all the wing supports mounted to the vehicle, what you want to do is prepare to put on the cross frames. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, I'm going to throw a towel across, protect the paint, and this is going to make it a little easier for us to install without scratching anything. Close the door, hold the towel in place, come over, grab your rack, cross frame. We're going to grab the front one here. The badge goes on the front, towards the front. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to turn it upside down, lean it up there. We're going to slide it across like so. Get over close to where you have the wing supports. Pull your towel across a little bit, and then you're just going to roll it over like this onto the wing supports. And there you go. Okay, now for the back one, you can kind of do the same thing. You may not be able to get the door to close on it on the towel, but you can have it go across and then slide the rail across if you want. Or if you have a step stool or ladder, set up in the back and then step on the back bumper, obviously with the tailgate down, and then go ahead and just put this one in place. You'll notice there's a little notch right here. It's over the wing. These little nifty cutouts here, basically for your bungee cords and other accessories that are coming. And you just set it down like that. There you go, they're in place. After you have your cross frames placed on top of your wing supports, what you want to do is go find this hardware pack right here. It's the cross frames to wing supports hardware pack. And basically it has a diagram of all the parts that you need and the tools. And it also kind of gives you a little hint of how we're going to handle using the opposite end of the crescent wrench to hold the flange nuts and slide them in and get everything threaded together. Now that you have cross frame installed or placed on top of the wing supports, we're ready to attach the two together. Okay, here's where the real trick happens on the install to make it easier for everything. What you're going to do, you're going to get your crescent wrench, use the other end, enclosed, take your flange nut, set it down in there. And then what you can do, so these spaces are specifically designed to be able to manage that. And you can see it down there now. It's holding the nut in place. It's keeping it from rotating. Start threading it in by hand. Once it starts going, come in with your 5mm Allen. And again, we don't want to tighten everything up just yet. We still have some measuring to do between the two cross frames. Take your opposite end of your crescent wrench, the flange nut in there, see it doesn't fall out or anything unless you turn it upside down or shank it too much. There's two slots here that are a little larger than the others. Allows you to feed it right down there. See the nut down there? Go ahead and start it with your fingers. And then go ahead and use your 5mm Allen. Leave it a little loose. And then complete that for the two on the back. And then the 4 on the other side. And then you'll be ready to go to the rear and do those. We're here at the back cross frame. We're going to do the same thing that we did on the front. Essentially, we have it sitting on our cross wing supports. So we're going to grab our hardware here. Let's start out taking a nut, installing it in the end of the wrench, feeding it down through here, and then we're going to line it up there, slide this over, thread it into the nut. Some go a little easier than others. Kind of look through some of the holes, make sure that the nut's lined up on the back side. There you go. Once you get it going, grab your Allen tool, get it a little tighter, not snug or anything. Again, we'll go around and tighten everything up in a final tightening round. Put in the other nut. You can practice with which way is best. You like it angled like this. I think this kind of works a little bit better. Again, line up the nut. Get the screw started. Again, use the Allen wrench. Speed it up, get it in there. And then just repeat for the back side. 2 holes there, 2 bolts there, and then on the opposite side, you'd have another 4 more. And then you're ready for the next step, which is going to be aligning everything, getting it all just perfectly set up. And then you'll be able to tighten down all the bolts and you'll be ready to go. What you want to do before you tighten everything down is grab a tape measure. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure the distance between the front and the back. So we want to pick a feature on the front and measure to the exact same feature you'll find on the back at the same point. And right there you can see, right now we're at 50 inches, which is exactly what you want. This is particularly important if you're going to get a carrier deck. The spacing for the mounting is on 2-inch intervals. So 50 inches would be on an even number and line up perfectly. Go ahead and do that on both sides. Make sure they're both the same distance apart. And then at that point, go ahead and start tightening things down. To secure everything down, you're going to take your 5mm Allen. I forgot to mention earlier, want something that's at least 130 millimeters long, as far as the drive bit here. And what you do is you line a hole that's convenient, drop down to the top of those screws that are bolting the wing support to the roof. Go ahead and just give those a good twist, tighten them down. Again, go back and forth. Don't want to tighten one down completely before the other. So once you have the supports firmly bolted down to the actual car, come back in with your box end wrench, tighten up all the cross frame bolts of such. That one's kind of loose still. And once you do that all the way around, do a double check, make sure everything's tight, and then your roof rack is installed and you're ready to go. All right, that concludes our install video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, post them down below and I will respond to those and put the answers up at the top of the post. We'll also be coming out with more install videos of our rooftop tent mounting hardware, our Swiss awning bracket, our carrier deck, and obviously in the future we'll have more install videos for other products we come out with. Also look for overview videos. We'll have overview videos of all our different products, including the 1804 roof rack, the carrier deck, the Swiss awning bracket, and also the Dogbone rooftop tent mounting hardware. Look around, check the video links, check those out, and if you have questions on those, post in those videos too. We're looking to really give you some good information and a complete picture of what it's going to take to install these products and how to use them. So thanks for stopping by, and we look forward to seeing you in future videos.